The Jerusalem Bible, Exodus chapter 6. Then Yahweh said to Moses, "You will see how I shall punish Pharaoh. He will be forced to let them go. Yes, he will be forced to send them out of his land." God spoke to Moses and said to him, "I am Yahweh. To Abraham and Isaac and Jacob I appeared as El Shaddai. I did not make myself known to them by my name Yahweh. Also, I made my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land they lived in as strangers. And I have heard the groaning of the sons of Israel, enslaved by the Egyptians, and have remembered my covenant. Say this, then, to the sons of Israel, I am Yahweh. I will free you of the burdens which the Egyptians lay on you. I will release you from slavery to them. And with my arm outstretched and my strokes of power, I will deliver you. I will adopt you as my own people, and I will be your God. Then you shall know that it is I, Yahweh your God, who have freed you from the Egyptians' burdens. Then I will bring you to the land I swore that I would give to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and will give it to you for your own. I, Yahweh, will do this." Moses told this to the sons of Israel, but they would not listen to him. So crushed was their spirit and so cruel their slavery. Yahweh then said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and tell him to let the sons of Israel leave his land." But Moses answered Yahweh's face. "Look," said, "since the sons of Israel have not listened to me, why should Pharaoh listen to me, a man slow of speech?" Yahweh spoke to Moses and Aaron and ordered them both to go to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to bring the sons of Israel out of the land of Egypt. These are the heads of their families: the sons of Reuben, Israel's firstborn, Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. These are the clans of Reuben. The sons of Simeon, Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jason, Zohar, and Shaul, son of the Canaanite woman. These are the clans of Simeon. These are the names of the sons of Levi with their descendants: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Levi lived for 137 years. The sons of Gershon, Libni and Shimei, and their clans. The sons of Kohath, Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uziel. Kohath lived for 133 years. The sons of Merari, Mali and Mushi. These are the clans of Levi with their descendants. Amram married Jochebed, his aunt, who bore him Aaron and Moses. Amram lived for 137 years. The sons of Izhar were Korah, Nepheg, and Zechari. And the sons of Uziel, Mishael, Elizaphan, and Sithri. Aaron married Elisheba, daughter of Abinadab, and sister of Nashon. She bore him Nabab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. The sons of Korah, Isir, Elkanah, and Abiasap. These are the clans of the Kohites. Eleazar, son of Aaron, married one of Putiel's daughters, who bore him Phinehas. These are the heads of the families of the Levites, according to their clans. It was to this same Aaron and Moses that Yahweh had said, "Bring the sons of Israel out of the land of Egypt in battle order." It was they who spoke with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, about bringing the sons of Israel out of Egypt. It was the same Moses and Aaron. On the day when Yahweh spoke to Moses in the land of Egypt, he said this to him, "I am Yahweh. Tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I say to you." But Moses said to Yahweh's face, I am slow of speech. Why should Pharaoh listen to me? The Jerusalem Bible, Exodus chapter 7. Yahweh said to Moses, See, I make you a god for Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother is to be your prophet. You yourself must tell him all I command you, and Aaron your brother will tell Pharaoh to let the sons of Israel leave his land. I myself will make Pharaoh's heart stubborn, and perform many a sign and wonder in the land of Egypt. Pharaoh will not listen to you, and so I will lay my hand on Egypt, and with strokes of power lead out my armies, my people, the sons of Israel, from the land of Egypt. And all the Egyptians shall come to know that I am Yahweh when I stretch out my hand against Egypt and bring out the sons of Israel from their midst. Moses and Aaron obeyed. They did what Yahweh commanded them. Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 at the time of their audience with Pharaoh. Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron, If Pharaoh says to you, Produce some marvel, you must say to Aaron, Take your staff and throw it down in front of Pharaoh, and let it turn into a serpent. To Pharaoh then Moses and Aaron duly went, and they did as Yahweh commanded. Aaron threw down his staff in front of Pharaoh and his court, and it turned into a serpent. Then Pharaoh, in his turn, called for the sages and sorcerers, and with their witchcraft the magicians of Egypt did the same. Each threw down his staff, and these turned into serpents. But Aaron's staff swallowed up the staffs of the magicians. Yet Pharaoh's heart was stubborn, and as Yahweh had foretold, he would not listen to Moses and Aaron. Then Yahweh said to Moses, Pharaoh is adamant. He refuses to let the people go. In the morning, go to him as he makes his way to the water, and wait for him by the bank of the river. In your hand take the staff that turned into a serpent. Say to him, Yahweh, the God of the Hebrews, has sent me to say, Let my people go to offer me worship in the wilderness. Now, so far you have not listened. Here is what Yahweh's message is, that I am Yahweh, you shall learn by this. With the staff that is in my hand, I will strike the water of the river, and it shall be changed into blood. The fish in the river will die, and the river will smell so foul that the Egyptians will not want to drink the water of it. Yahweh said to Moses, Say this to Aaron, Take your staff and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt, over their rivers and their canals, their marshlands, and all their reservoirs, and let them turn to blood throughout the land of Egypt, even down to the contents of every tub or jar. Moses and Aaron did as Yahweh commanded. He raised his staff, and in the sight of Pharaoh and in his court, he struck the waters of the river, and all the water in the river changed to blood. The fish in the river died, and the river smelt so foul that the Egyptians found it impossible to drink its water. Throughout the land of Egypt there was blood. But the magicians of Egypt used their witchcraft to do the same, so that Pharaoh's heart was stubborn, and, as Yahweh had foretold, he would not listen to Moses and Aaron. Pharaoh turned away and went back into his palace, taking no notice even of this. Meanwhile, all the Egyptians dug holes along the banks of the river in search of drinking water. They found the water of the river impossible to drink. After Yahweh had struck the river, 7 days passed. Then Yahweh said to Moses, Go to Pharaoh and say to him, This is Yahweh's message. Let my people go to offer me worship. If you refuse to let them go, know that I will plague the whole of your country with frogs. The river will swarm with them. They will make their way into your palace, into your bedroom, onto your bed, into the houses of your courtiers and of your subjects, into your ovens, into your kneading bowls. The frogs will even climb all over you, over your courtiers, and over all your subjects. The Jerusalem Bible, Exodus chapter 8. Yahweh said this to Moses, "Say this to Aaron, stretch out your hand with your staff over the rivers, the canals, and the marshland, and make frogs swarm over the land of Egypt." So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. But the magicians did the same with their witchcraft, and made frogs swarm all over the land of Egypt. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron. "Entreat Yahweh," he said, "to rid me and my subjects of the frogs, and I promise to let the people go and offer sacrifice to Yahweh." Moses answered Pharaoh, "Take this chance to get the better of me. When I pray on your account and for your courtiers and for your subjects, what time am I to fix for the frogs to leave you and your subjects and your houses and stay in the river?" "Tomorrow," Pharaoh said. "It shall be as you say," answered Moses. "By this you shall learn that Yahweh, our God, has no equal. The frogs will go from you and your palaces, your courtiers, and your subjects. They will stay in the river." When Moses and Aaron had gone from Pharaoh's presence, Moses pleaded with Yahweh about the frogs with which he had afflicted Pharaoh. And Yahweh granted Moses his prayer. In house and courtyard and field the frogs died. They piled them up in heaps, and the land reeked of them. But as soon as he saw that relief had been granted, Pharaoh became adamant again, and as Yahweh had foretold, he refused to listen to Moses and Aaron. Then Yahweh said to Moses, "Say this to Aaron, stretch out your rod, and strike the dust on the ground throughout the land of Egypt. It will turn into mosquitoes." Aaron stretched out his hand with his staff and struck the dust on the ground. The mosquitoes attacked men and beasts. Throughout the land of Egypt the dust on the ground turned into mosquitoes. The magicians with their witchcraft tried to produce mosquitoes and failed. The mosquitoes attacked men and beasts. So the magicians said to Pharaoh, "This is the finger of God." But Pharaoh's heart was stubborn, and as Yahweh had foretold, he refused to listen to Moses and Aaron. Then Yahweh said to Moses, "Get up early in the morning, and wait for Pharaoh as he makes his way to the water. Say to him, 'This is Yahweh's message. Let my people go to offer me worship. But if you do not let my people go, I shall send gadflies on you, on your courtiers, and on your palaces. The houses of the Egyptians will be infested with them, and even the very ground they stand on. But I shall set apart the land of Goshen, where my people live, on that day. There will be no gadflies there, and so you may know that I, Yahweh, am in the midst of the land. I shall make a distinction between my people and yours. This sign shall take place tomorrow." Yahweh did this, and great swarms of gadflies found their way into Pharaoh's palace, into the houses of his courtiers, and into all the land of Egypt, and ruined the country. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron. "Go," he said, "and offer sacrifice to your God, but in this country." "That would not be right," Moses answered. "We sacrifice to Yahweh our God animals which Egyptians count it sacrilege to slaughter. If we offer in front of the Egyptians sacrifices that outrage them, will they not stone us? We must make a 3 days' journey into the wilderness to offer a sacrifice to Yahweh our God, as he has commanded us. Pharaoh replied, I will let you go to offer sacrifice to Yahweh your God in the wilderness, provided you do not go far, and intercede for me. The moment I leave you, said Moses, I will pray to Yahweh. Tomorrow morning the gadflies will leave Pharaoh and his courtiers and his subjects. Only Pharaoh must not play false again and refuse to let the people go to offer a sacrifice to Yahweh. So Moses went out of Pharaoh's presence and prayed to Yahweh. And Yahweh did as Moses asked. The gadflies left Pharaoh and his courtiers and his subjects. Not one remained. But Pharaoh was adamant this time too, and did not let the people go. The Jerusalem Bible, Ezekiel 28:25 through 29:21. The Lord Yahweh says this, When I gather the house of Israel from the peoples among whom it is dispersed, this is how I am going to display my holiness in the sight of the nations. They shall live on the soil that I gave to my servant Jacob. They shall live there in confidence, build houses, plant vineyards. They shall live in confidence. When I inflict punishments on all the hostile surrounding nations, then men will learn that I am Yahweh their God. Chapter 29. In the 10th year, on the 12th day of the 10th month, the word of Yahweh was addressed to me as follows. Son of man, turn towards Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and prophesy against him, and against the whole of Egypt. Speak to him and say, The Lord Yahweh says this, Now I set myself against you, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, you great crocodile wallowing in your Niles. You have said, My Niles are mine. I made them. I am going to put hooks through your jaws, make your Nile fish stick to your scales, and pull you out of your Niles with all your Nile fish sticking to your scales. I shall drop you in the desert with all your Nile fish. You will fall on open ground, and not be taken up or buried. I shall give you as food to the beasts of the earth and the birds of heaven, so that all the inhabitants of Egypt may learn that I am Yahweh, since they have given no more support than a reed to the house of Israel. Whenever they grasped you, you broke in their hands, and cut their hands all over. Whenever they leaned on you, you broke and let their loins shaking. For this reason, the Lord Yahweh says this, I am sending the sword against you to kill your men and your beast. Egypt will be reduced to desert and desolation, and men will learn that I am Yahweh, since they have said, The Nile is mine, I made it. Very well. Now I set myself against you and your Niles. I mean to reduce Egypt to desert and desolation, from Migdol to Sirne and beyond to the frontiers of Ethiopia. The feet of men will not pass that way. The feet of animals will not pass that way. For 40 years it will remain uninhabited. I intend to reduce the land of Egypt to a waste among wasted countries. For 40 years its cities will be a waste among ruined cities. And I shall scatter the Egyptians among the nations, dispersing them throughout the peoples. And the Lord Yahweh says this, After 40 years have passed, I will gather the inhabitants of Egypt from the nations where they have been scattered. I will bring the Egyptian captives back, and reinstall them in the land of Patros, the land they came from. There they will constitute a weak kingdom. Egypt will be the weakest of kingdoms and no longer dominate other nations. I shall reduce her, and she will not rule any more over the nations. She will no longer be anything for the house of Israel to trust in, but will be living evidence of the sins of Israel at the time when Israel turned to her for help. And men will learn that I am the Lord Yahweh. In the 27th year, on the first day of the first month, the word of Yahweh was addressed to me as follows. Son of man, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, mobilized his army for a great expedition against Tyre. Their heads have all gone bald. Their shoulders are all chafed. But even so, he has derived no profit from the expedition mounted against Tyre, either for himself or for his army. Since this is so, the Lord Yahweh says this, I am going to hand Egypt over to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. He will levy his share of riches there instead, will loot it and carry off the booty to pay his army. In reward for his efforts against Tyre, I am handing the land of Egypt over to him, since they have been working for me. It is the Lord Yahweh who speaks. On that day I will cause the house of Israel to sprout a horn, and I shall allow you to open your mouth for all to hear, and so they will learn that I am Yahweh. Romans 9:14 through 24. Does it follow that God is unjust? Of course not. Take what God said to Moses, I have mercy on whom I will, and I show pity to whom I please. In other words, the only thing that counts is not what human beings want or try to do, but the mercy of God. For in Scripture he says to Pharaoh, It was for this I raised you up, to use you as a means of showing my power, and to make my name known throughout the world. In other words, when God wants to show mercy, he does. And when he wants to harden someone's heart, he does so. You will ask me, in that case, how can God ever blame anyone, since no one can oppose his will? But what right have you, a human being, to cross-examine God? The pot has no right to say to the potter, Why did you make me this shape? Surely a potter can do what he likes with the clay. It is surely for him to decide whether he will use a particular lump of clay to make a special pot or an ordinary one. Or else imagine that although God is ready to show his anger and display his power, yet he patiently puts up with the people who make him angry, however much they deserve to be destroyed. He puts up with them for the sake of those other people, to whom he wants to be merciful, to whom he wants to reveal the riches of his glory, people he had prepared for this glory long ago. Well, we are those people. Whether we were Jews or pagans, we are the ones he has called.